Greetings and salutations to the fans. Welcome into our final weekend of the Curse Invitational. I'm AC back on the mic. Merlini held things down along with Blaze, if I'm not mistaken, in my absence. I, of course, was making my way out west and teasing about it along the way. But finally, I'm settled in. Unfortunately, not using the studio here today. We had a little bit of a technical problem, so went to something that I hope will be a bit more stable, but that's all behind us. Instead, I can at least say it's my first broadcast from sunny San Francisco. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us, no matter what time it happens to be in your part of the world. We got a great North American showdown on the way. Team Liquid taking on Team Dignitas. Now, both of these teams have been relatively quiet for the last week just because of the international qualifiers. Both of these teams, of course, direct invites to the International 3, so all eyes have been on those teams fighting their way in. E.g., Mouse, Rox, DD, who has been looking really, really sharp. So this is going to be a nice chance for us to see where these teams are, even though they have both been, again, relatively inactive compared to where they usually are leading up to this point. Once again, if you're just tuning in, I'm AC, joined by Merlini for the broadcast. Merlini, my friend, how are you?
Hey, how's it going? Nice to have you back.
And I need to mute you as a co-caster, so hold on one second, guys. And I warned that this could actually happen. Yep, small little issue, but now we don't have you with an echo. Sorry about that. But once again, it's good to have you back, man. And, I'm going to let you talk a bit about both of these teams and their performance throughout the Curse Invitational, just because you were here to see them in action last weekend. And, again, I wasn't. So give me your impressions and how they were playing last time you saw them both play.
Remaining.
So we saw Team Liquid experiment a little bit with Slark, one of the very few Western teams to do so. And one thing that we've actually seen them do recently is not ban out Bat, and it happens this game too. So they just allowed other team to get Bat and use some of their priority bans on other problematic heroes. They almost always ban Wisp and whoever other hero they decide, maybe Lifestealer, Magnus, Darkseer. I don't really see them ban Magnus out too much, but that frees up one of their bans, and maybe we'll see some more Slark from Team Liquid. Again, both of these teams have been taking it easy, probably just watching a lot of TI3 Western callers, as most of us have been. So these bans and picks are already well underway. Team Liquid has banned out Wisp and Darkseer, and Team Dignitas has banned out Keeper the Light and Lifestealer.
Well, seeing what Dignitas is already showing us, a team composition based on these three, and to tell you the truth, in terms of three heroes you're actually going to be able to get in your first three draft positions, doesn't get a lot more solid, stable, and aggressive than a Bad Rider, a Gyro, and a Druid. Now, Druid does take a little time to get things underway in terms of his farm, his item build, and really to come into his own, but a Gyrocopter run either from a carrier, you don't really see support Gyros that much anymore, but still, Dignitas, a team that does like to experiment, that's something they could possibly do. Chances are, though, they're going to try to build something, I would imagine something aggressive around this Gyrocopter to perhaps free up a solo safe lane farm for the lone Druid, and with a Bad Rider there in mid, going to be handled by sneaking, no doubt about it. The name of the game is going to be aggression for Dignitas, but really that's their play style. And looking back 2 weeks ago, I think that's something you and I even discussed. Is Dignitas, when they struggle, it tends to be because they're playing what I would call, not just passively, but stagnant. Whenever they find themselves behind, whenever they feel like they can't take control of the map, so they tend to draft compositions and tend to play a play style that lets them try to take control. And because of that, Dignitas is a team that a lot of teams happen to fear. Looking at Liquid, Nyx Assassin, Clockwork, and Chen, though surprised to see a Clockwork come out early for TL. Bulba, just one of the best in the whole world in terms of being able to handle that hero and handle him well. Chen, a favorite of Fluff, and the Nyx Assassin, usually played by IX Mike. Just very strong supporting cast out so far from Liquid. They have very solid defensive and offensive capabilities.
Yeah, and I expect Team Liquid to probably take an early tower, because both of their solo heroes that are going to be in the side lanes aren't going to be able to stand up versus a Chen in a triple lane. Sometimes you can get like okay farm with lone Druid if you're against a triple lane, but Chen, with his early creeps, you can just go around tower and just absolutely dominate who's there. So I expect a lot of early aggression from Team Liquid. Team Liquid and Dignitas, they both rely on early momentum often, and we don't see them in a position from like them playing from behind very often, just because they're just both really top-notch teams. And we've seen them face off a couple of times recently, but these picks have certainly changed. Nyx, it seems like he again just like goes like first pick, and then sometimes like people don't even consider him, just like Magnus. Magnus there's, 12 heroes already picked, and we haven't seen any Magnus, which is a little bit surprising. I think a lot of people predicted him as most picked in their compendium, but he is definitely fallen out of favor.
Yeah, and that's kind of surprising. I mean, the hero is still as strong as he's always been. He gives you the late-game viability. I mean, the chance to build a refresher. I mean, refresher orbs on late-game Magnus are becoming more and more common. But as you mentioned, that's just it's a pick we haven't seen. And, you know, largely it's easy to understand why. Dignitas drafting the Bad Rider first, as that was given away by Liquid. Therefore, their mid-position, for the most part, is going to be locked up. Not to say they can't do something with the Bad, like run him in the off lane or even run him in the jungle. We've been seeing a little bit more of that over past weeks and months in comparison to certainly how the Bat was the ubiquitous mid for the longest time. But
hey, AC, someone has informed me that they cannot hear you in Dota TV.
All right, I'll get to that just momentarily. But that should be working. I actually checked that beforehand. But anyway, I'll give that a look in just a moment. But back to the picks and the bans. We can see Dignitas just wanting to take away the carry potential that they think Liquid could bring to bear, taking out the DK. DK, a fantastic ban, just because of his armor, the fact that Gyrocopter and Lone Druid, obviously physical DPS, they don't want to deal with the anchor hero that is the Dragon Knight, and the big-time bonus to his armor that he's going to be able to get from Dragon Blood, the late-game utility of Luna, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think it's also the carry potential as well as the push potential. These are the two carries that can actually do a fair amount of damage to towers early game. DK with his level 6 ultimate form, with that poison attack on towers, and Luna with her Lunar Blessing. Those combined with Chen just really mean bad news for Dignitas if they aren't prepared. There is no Keeper of the Light to defend against pushes, and Bat Rider and Lone Druid and Gyrocopter, they aren't the best. They're okay, but you really want some sort of big team fight or just spammy spell in order to defend against those pushes. Bat Rider without Blink is not very good at that. But I think he'll be mid and should be played, but I think he will be played by Snaking. And that, I think Bat Rider fits their playstyle very, very well and just allows them to create a lot of opportunities around the map, to create space, and so they can play a little bit greedier than the other team. And we see that a lot from Team Dignitas. They like to play greedy, split push a lot, and just outfarm the other team, and then just overwhelm them in the 30 to 40 minute mark, as opposed to Team Liquid, who likes to put a lot of pressure early, and they really shine in, I think, the 10 to 25 minute mark is where they just completely try and take control of the game. So I think probably a little bit of a passive early game, just completely depending on lanes. It might be 3-on-3 or 3-on-1. Just seeing how they pick. So Team Dignitas has done their research, and this is the first time I've seen someone ban out Slark against Team Liquid when they pick Bat, and I think that's very, very smart of them. And other teams, they're just like, whatever, we don't care about Slark, it's not that big of a deal. But then they just match up Slark versus Bat Rider every time, and then the Bat Rider just gets crushed and doesn't do anything the whole entire game, because you can just Dark Path the sticky napalm stacks as well as the Flaming Lasso, which is a huge deal. And you really count on Bat just like winning his lane. He really doesn't lose any matchup, really. And I've seen Slark like almost kill Bat Rider a couple of times. Maybe if you have like a lucky root versus Lone Druid, or you're in like the off lane position versus a safe lane, but in a very even like lane matchup, maybe let's say like mid or hero wise, it's you know, Bat shouldn't die at any of those. So Team Liquid opts for Queen of Pain, most likely still a middle against the Bat Rider. Very good hero in terms of survivability, and she's decent option compared to Puck. I don't know, it's just really a toss-up as to which one you want to use. One's not really that much better than the other against Bat Rider, but Queen of Pain has fallen out of favor because of Puck, but still both very, very strong heroes.
Taking a look at what Dignitas is already showing us, and this kind of plays into what I was talking about. With the Rubik pick, obviously, they still have the option to just off the Druid if they really, really want to, and try to farm the Gyro safely. That's something Dignitas does like to do and does do fairly frequently. But again, when you see the Chen come out, you see the Nyx Assassin. Nyx is great, but he does need levels. Level 1 Nyx Assassin is, you know, he's very one-dimensional. His mana pool's not that deep, and he has a hard time fighting continuously. So Gyrocopter perhaps in an offensive tri-lane with the Rubik, plus whatever other support they want to line up here, which could be any number of them. Shadow Demon is still available. They're going to go ahead and grab the Puck, though. So taking a look at that, I mean, this could be a support Gyrocopter. What they could end up doing is running the Puck mid, the Bat Rider off lane, and then farm the Lone Druid out of a tri-lane with the Rubik and the Gyro supporting. So, again, that option's available. That's something we don't see all that often, but certainly a lot of ways that Dignitas can approach this game in terms of how they want to utilize the composition they've drafted. On the side of Team Liquid, Liquid has, I mean, you know, and more it seems like Liquid's drafting lineups like this, where you look at it and it feels a little thin. It feels like, okay, if Chen isn't in the right position, or Chen gets picked off, or Chen struggles, doesn't get up his early items, doesn't get up an early mech. Yes, they have the magic damage from Queen of Pain, they have the reach of Clockwork, they have the single target DPS of the Nyx Assassin, and obviously they'll probably be adding a carry here with their final pickup. But it has the feeling of one of those lineups that really needs to execute very well. The ease of execution is not going to be all that comfortable. They're going to have to really work themselves into proper position, make sure they win their lanes or at least break even. But again, Liquid is just one of those teams, and we've seen it out of them time and time again. They find a way to make it work even when it feels like it shouldn't.
Yeah, I agree that Team Liquid's, especially with the Shadow Fiend pickup, it means that they don't really have that much room for error. But Team Liquid does tend to execute pretty well. On the side of Dignitas, we'll probably see Lone Druid off lane and then Bat jungle, I assume, with Gyro and Rubik in the safe lane, especially considering the players. But we shall see. So Shadow Fiend, a very unusual pickup. I'm trying to figure out like why they picked that as opposed to a traditional carry, but nothing really jumps to mind. They don't really have that much minus armor. Sometimes you will pick Shadow Fiend with like Vengeful or I don't know, Dazzle, Slardar, any of those heroes for the mass minus armor, but we don't see any of those. And he's just a liability, and he can just get picked up by Puck. He's not that good versus Lone Druid because of Root, and it's really hard to just get to the Lone Druid because of Shadow Fiend's limited range, even as a range hero. If he's paired versus Bat, I don't think he'll have an easy time versus that at all. But it is played by TC, so I fully expect him to go in a safe lane. So introducing to the side of Dignitas, we have Way Too Sexy, the drafter, on the Rubik, Fogged on the Bat Rider, LeBron James, also known as Universe, on the Gyrocopter, Aoi 2000 on the Lone Druid, and Snaking as the Puck.
Well, very well done. I'm actually just running through them. Looks like we've got everybody given the old good luck, have fun. It sounds like my in-game audio actually isn't working, so I'm going to have to request a pause for that. Pause, please. And sorry about that. 1 second. But I'll tell you what, guys, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead, and again, thank you for bearing with us because we did have an emergency, had to set up a brand new rig. I'm going to go ahead and just bring this up so I can deal with this. But if you want to continue to talk, Merlini, break down how you think this laning phase is going to go. Okay, so introducing the other side, we have Liquid. We have TC on the Shadow Fiend. Looks like he's heading top. That's probably the triple lane. Korok on the Queen of Pain. Fluff on his signature Chen. Boba on the Clockwork. And IX Mike 88 on the Nyx Assassin. So no more MSS for them. We saw Mojo Storm Saddle stand in a little bit for them, I think 2 weeks ago. And he had a very, very good Rubik, as we saw. And looking at these lanes, looks like Dignitas wants to do a safe lane, triple lane, but looks like I'm trying to think of why they would do that as opposed to an aggressive. But I guess they're expecting the Chen in the bottom jungle, so I fully expect them to take out this tower top because again, none of Dignitas' heroes can really stand against that triple lane. Chen and Shadow Fiend and Nyx Assassin is not the strongest triple lane, but it's formidable enough so that a relatively weak hero in the early game won't be able to stand up against it. I don't know what Snaking is going to do either. We usually see him as a solo mid, but again, all 5 of them are headed bottom. Looks like Fog actually may opt for an early bottle build with Tango branch. So again, we're waiting for ASC to resolve his Dota TV issues. And in terms of late game, I really don't see Shadow Fiend being able to do that much versus line. If he gets like lassoed and gripped in, unless there's like an amazing Chen back or amazing counter initiation by Clockwork, I think he's just going to die all the time. So I think he's really going to be the hero to watch this game, whether he's going to be like just trying to farm it up after he gets his Blink and or Shadow Blade and just try and split push and farm up, or whether he will actually be contributing lots of team fights. And I suspect it's going to be more of the latter, especially with Bulbo initiation. So it looks like AC is reconnected to the game. Yeah, working my way back in, hoping that everyone can hear me in Dota TV and elsewhere. And there we go. 1 second. Just about ready to roll. And yeah, I believe we are all set. Let me just make sure that... And there we go. All right. Ready. Sorry again, guys, and I will take full responsibility for this, working out of the new studio, trying to get acclimated, trying to get everything in line, and had something go wrong at the very last minute before this broadcast. Had to suddenly move to a different area just to try and make sure everything was in line, or try to make sure that I had something that was functional. So hopefully that'll be the last interruption we happen to have. So seeing how we could see Dignitas already moving their way down here, and this is kind of what I was thinking might happen. Is, we got Sneaking on the puck, so he'll be going mid. Fogged is actually on the bat. So we'll see if they end up sacking the offlane and just putting the bat in the jungle. That's something that, yep, that's what they're going to do, as we see him now using Firefly to go ahead and clear away the trees. And even though it's not quite as effective now that the ability to stack and pull this mid lane has been reduced a bit, it's still, Bat's one of those heroes that when he starts in the jungle, he starts off a little bit slow, but as he picks up speed, he actually becomes very, very efficient in terms of his gold per minute.
Yeah, and we actually see some unusual builds. Fluff has opted for a smoke and an early ring of protection, so he still has 200 in his bank. I don't know whether he's going to rush Bassi, but TC might do that too. He also has a ring of protection. I doubt he's going to go Trinkle Boots, but it is still a possibility. I fully expect them to try and take this early tower out top, especially with Bat being in the jungle. You can't really leave... you can't just really leave that lane alone top. I mean, they're going to lose that in probably like 3 or 4 minutes. But mid matchup, very, very even. Sneaking versus Korok and Puck versus Quap, respectively. I don't expect either of them to die. Both of them tend to play relatively aggressive, but with Bottle Crow and mass regeneration on both of them, I don't think there would be much to see there.
Welcome in once again. If you're just tuning in, we are finally underway. This is effectively Game 2, by the way, and that's something we didn't touch on a whole lot. I'm not going to get into all the controversy around it, just going to recap what happened as it happened. Na'Vi should be the one facing Liquid here today. There was a problem in terms of their scheduling, and so they were unfortunately forced to withdraw. Now Dignitas has taken their place. They rose from the lower bracket. The lower bracket currently has Roxkiss awaiting the loser of this best of 3. So in effect, what we have is Dignitas taking on Liquid. Since Dignitas did come out of the lower bracket following Na'Vi's departure from the tournament, that means they trailed this series 1-0. Liquid, in effect, has to win one game to win the entire series, whereas Dignitas is going to have to win 2 to win the series. So this is already do or die for Dignitas. They don't have a lot of time to really get things going. They're just going to have to come out firing very early on.
Yep, and just very passive early game. I'm excited to see both these teams play again. Like the Tier 1 teams we haven't seen this week, just because everyone's participating in the qualifier. So that includes Alliance, Na'Vi, Liquid, and Dignitas. And I'm just excited to see them play, see if they've come up with any new strats with the new heroes that have been imported into CM recently. And I'm glad that I'm watching mid right now. Snaken looks like he's in trouble.
Sneaking gonna be forced back. Korok takes a tower shot for his trouble. We can see Sneaking trying to phase out on the ticks from the Shadow Strike. But anyway, Bulba, we can see doing, this is Bulba, by the way, on our Clockwork, doing what he does well, which is being annoying on the clock. Managing to steal a couple of last hits there. Does have to be a little bit careful, but should be fine as cogs to rely on in case he did get in trouble. Taking a look up here at Sneaking, or excuse me, at Owie. Owie's already just about level 3. That's really not bad at all, given we're just 2.5 minutes into this game, and he is in an off lane against 2 very, very hard heroes to get close to in TC and in the Nyx Assassin. Fluff, of course, going to work here in the jungle. He's off to a great start. He's already level 4.5, and I would be surprised if they didn't just go ahead and move into the lane very soon and try to take a tower.
Yeah, and that Wild can just really help Slot with the early stacking up. He has taken a football again, looks to be applying pressure to this, and Aoi is forced to play really, really defensively. He could possibly die in just one impale right now, so looks like that his poor Spirit Bear, no, the Panda!
Panda taking some damage, but looks like he should be able to make it back to safety, and he will, with just about a quarter health. They are well behind the Tier 1, so Aoi again being zoned out. Korok's giving it to Sneaking again here in mid. Let's see if he... Nope, just going to go ahead and let it go. Does take a couple of tower shots for his troubles, so if there's any benefit that Sneaking has, as much damage as he's taking, he's able to tempt Korok in the tower radius, and get some damage done that way. We can see the ward goes down, so Liquid is going to commit to bringing this tower down. Shouldn't take long at all. Taking a look at the early CS, 22 for the Gyro, 22 for the Shadow Fiend as well, so the two you would expect near the top are near the top. Comparing the Lone Druid and the Clockwork, they're both down low, 6 and 4 for Aoi, and not looking like it's going to get a whole lot easier anytime soon.
Yeah, this is an appropriate sacrifice for dignitas. They can't really do that much, especially with snaking, just like getting dominated in the middle. This is something that you rarely see from a Puck. I think Puck actually has like a very slight upper hand, but it's very dependent on player skill. Regardless, I mean, they can't really do much about this. Like, what is a bat going to do? He has to stack cams. He really needs his level 6. He needs an early Blink Dagger, and all those like required him to just stay put in the jungle. So early tower goes in favor of Liquid, but that, again, that's fully expected. I predicted that go down in 3 or 4 minutes, and Shadow Fiend would just get free reign. I don't know what build he's going to go, though, and that is really the thing to look for, because he's the only unusual hero in this lineup of 10.
Yep. Well, looking at the way, I mean, at this point, it's all about, is it going to be survivability?
Watch Bobo on bottom.
Bulba drops the cogs. Now the bat's going to go ahead and take to the skies. Fog giving pursuit. Aoi's there as well. He's going to be able to do a little bit of damage. And First Blood will be going the way of Dignitas as they're able to track him down just short of the Roche Pit. 5 minutes in, Dignitas takes a 1-0 lead. Bat Rider did get that. We haven't really talked a whole lot about the Bat, but we can see he's beginning to come into his own. He's already just about level 5. This is where he really begins to pick up. He could buy a set of Tranquil Boots right now if he wants to go that direction. And with Way 2 there to help him out. But yeah, I mean, again, starting out in the jungle, very, very quiet, but gets very gold efficient very quickly. Now we're going to see him actually hook up with Way 2. They're going to go ahead and cross over. This is going to be spotted. So they're going to know what's coming. We can see Bulba wisely pulling back to the tier 2.
Yeah, it looks like they want to counter a tower with their own. So in terms of XP, slight favor and for Dignitas, just barely in their favor. And gold, even with that First Blood, still going to Liquid because of that early tower. And Bulba is really under level at this point. No points in Battery Assault. We see him vary builds a lot. Sometimes he goes max Battery Assault, sometimes he goes max Cog, sometimes he goes max Rocket Flare. It looks like a max Rocket Flare this game.
Way 2 going to be caught by the Impale. They're going to be able to catch him. Call downs there, but the Cogs are down. And they're going to do good damage. They're going to have to be careful. Good Flame Break, but no casualties in return. Sonic Wave's going to be spent, and Max Range manages to scream the bat out of the air. 2-1. Liquid gets a couple of reprisal kills.
Yeah, very good rotation by Liquid there. I did not see all those heroes just coming there. And in the meantime, TC just farming away top. Looks like he is going for a early Shadow Blade Rush. So already Shadow Amulet in his stash, so things are looking really, really good for him. He does have a casual Belt of Giant Strength. I expect him to complete his Shadow Blade before him, but looking pretty good in terms of farm there, Liquid.
But Liquid right now, and you know, it makes so much sense. I was touching on this, and we had that fight breakout, or had Bulba's First Blood breakout, so I got a little sidetracked. But, you know, anytime you see a Shadow Fiend, the question is, what part of the game do you want him to peak in? Do you build something like a Yasha BKB, very common sort of an approach to him, after getting up a set of boots just to give him a little bit more move speed, a little bit more survivability with the magic immunity? Or do you decide to go ahead and build around the idea of fighting a lot early? With the Shadow Blade pickup, that question's answered. We're going to see them want to get out, want to fight a lot more often. And against the lineup that their opponents have with the Gyro and the Lone Druid, it makes a ton of sense. Why would you want the game to go terribly late? Why would you want Aoi to have time to farm up the gap that was that opened up just because of obviously being put in an off lane against the tri lane and then having the tower taken? He had a bad start. That's just something they decided to do, and Puck almost died there. Sneaking, really living on the edge.
Yeah, he's just getting dominated in this matchup, which is, again, very, very surprising to see. He's very far behind in terms of farm. 16 CS. He's 4th from the bottom. There's there's supports that are more farm than he is. Regardless, yeah, Liquid is off to that good start that they're hoping for, and I think it's actually smarter than to pick a greedy hero, not necessarily Shadow Fiend, but like greedy hero. They could have gone away with like a weak early game hero like Void or Phantom Assassin had they chosen it, just because of Dignitas's laning, and they can't really go aggressive just judging by their lineup unless they want to do a support gyrocopter, but again, that is very, very uncommon as of late. So it looks like they get a free tower in the way of bottom lane, so 1-1 in terms of tower kills.
Howie continues to struggle. He's just about in the middle of the pack. He is right about there with Korok in mid, though, so it's not as if it's the end of the world. He has made up some good ground. And really, if there's anything you can say about Howie, no matter what carry he plays, no matter what situation he finds him in, he is a player who will find a way to make up farm. He just seems to always be able to close those gaps that a lot of other, even big-time carries struggle to close if they have a bad start. But as you said, the story is kind of coming down to sneaking and how poor of a start he's had. He's at level 7, taking a look. I mean, Mike's he's about halfway to level 5, so the supports for Liquid getting a little bit of development. Queen of Pain a full level ahead of sneaking, and already moving into a very aggressive position as Mike's there with Bulba. And we're going to see the Impale. Now they're going to drop the coil. Here's Korok, though. Scream goes off. Impale. Sonic Wave does good damage. Chen able to heal them up a bit. Korok not going to be able to survive, though. His bat was in the right position. Now, Bulba with the battery assault trying to track down Way2. Drops the cogs and ends up killing himself with it in return. Way2 manages to make it away with less than 20 hit points. And Bulba showing a little bit of greed there. Went for it a bit too much and ended up dying in return.
Yeah, something that is really surprising about both these teams is how good they are responding to ganks. Like when Dignitas tried to push this T1 on bottom, all Liquid were there to respond, and when they tried to gank Snaking in mid, almost all the Dignitas were there to respond too. So like they don't even need time to TP, and they're already there waiting to gank, and just really good ward placement by both of these teams. We see these wards in the middle. A little bit I think this is a smart ward on the side of Dignitas. This plays a little bit to the right because they don't want it to be sentryed by Liquid, and Liquid will probably put sentries in the middle just so that they know that Nyx can just walk in, although he is not level 6 yet. He's only level 5. But again, Howie's actually going for an early Midas build. I usually see him rush Armlet, maybe a phase earlier, but Midas is a very good choice versus Chen. Being able to take out one of his creeps instantly is very good for him.
Well, to allow him to make up that ground. You know, Midas is one of those items you usually tend to get it. You don't tend to get it if you have a pretty good but not great start. It's usually, well, I'm way ahead, why not? Or I really need to try. You know, basically at this point, that Midas signifies to me, and you hit the nail on the head. One, it helps against Chen, especially against his early pushes.
They have watch the smoking on top.
Yep, I see it. And they're moving into position. But anyway, now Fog's going to go for it. They managed to catch TC. He's going to be lassoed back. There's the follow-up coil. They're going to be able to finish him off. Here comes Bulba wanting a little bit of revenge. Mike has no mana, can't do much of anything. Fog being pursued by Bulba. There's a hook to follow it up. Way2's on the periphery of it all. There's a flame break, and they end up getting a return kill on Korok as well. So, all in all, just a big loss for Liquid on all fronts as they lose 3 in exchange for just the 1. They TP'd in, but the fight managed very, very effectively by Dignitas in the meantime, as well as Owie here in mid, finding not just some experience and some farm, but doing a little bit of damage to the mid-tier 1 as well.
Very smart play by Fog. Notice that he ran left right as soon as he lassoed instead of down. His teammates were over here. Instead of running down to get hit for the Impale, he ran just as far away as he could from the Nyx to not get hit by that Impale, and then just ensuring that really quick kill on TC.
Right.
And TC is still actually pretty far away from his Shadow Blade. Looks like he has completed treads for probably some more farming capabilities, but he really does need that Shadow Blade up and running so he can survive a little bit. But this early Blink Dagger on Fog really paying off for them.
The Universe off to a great start as mentioned. TC and Universe neck and neck in terms of CS, 75 to 75. We're just at 12 minutes in. So yeah, that's a little bit of bonkers farm to put it very mildly. He's gone for the very stable drums opening. Not a problem with that. He's got his phase up as well. Next item choice, we'll have to wait and see. Seeing the drums come out tells me he's probably going to grab a BKB, but he could go something more offensive if he really wanted to. At this point, they're in a decent enough shape. I mean, we look at the gold graph, it's not out of hand, but you're just about 4,000 gold in favor of Dignitas right now. Liquid sitting at, sitting at just about 3,000 experience behind as well. And yeah, Dignitas recognizes it, says, you know what, let's push our advantage. We have the ability to push very strong. Now Chen's going to come out, show his face. There's an Impale, and the neck goes down. There's a hook. Got 2 very close. Down go the cogs and traps Alley. Off goes the heal from Chen. Korok doing 1 damage to camera. Going to see 1 end up dropping. That's going to be way too sexy. In the meantime, the rest of Liquid cut off from the fight. Fog's going to go ahead and use the lasso, but he eats another Impale. However, the magic damage is there on both sides. The Sonic Wave helping to clear Dignitas out. It's a 2-for-1 trade so far. And the Gyro going to make it 3. 7 to 7 so far. Can they get the Baron? They should be able to get him. There's 100 gold in their back pocket. So Liquid loses their mid-tier 1, but able to engage fairly well. Bulba dropping the cogs was both a blessing and a curse. It made it very difficult for his teammates to get across them and do some damage, but still the long reach of Shadow Rays, IX Mike with his impales dead on the money, and Korok with a clutch Sonic Wave that caught the majority of Dignitas. They're able to go ahead and take the tier 1 after a fight they desperately needed.
Yeah, great initiation by Liquid there. I think that hook shot into Cog, trapping those 2 heroes as well as the bear was just really good by Bulba there. And even like a lot of teams don't like to pick Clockwork versus Batrider just because he can fly over the cogs and you can still like lasso through it. But I mean, we see just Bulba just play amazingly on Clockwork pretty much every time that we see him, which is almost every game that that he doesn't get banned out. We see a lot of teams ban Clockwork for a really good reason, though. But Dignitas still got that tower, so they're still pretty far ahead in terms of XP and gold, but that difference was quickly diminished, and Shadow Fiend has picked up his Shadow Blade.
Shadow Fiend having his Shadow Blade certainly a big deal, not just because of the attack speed, the attack bonus, and of course the attack damage, but the fact that he can now just wade himself into the middle of a fight, use his ulti almost free if there is no detection down. That gives Dignitas one more thing they have to account for. Sentries are in the inventory of Way Too Sexy right now. But, I mean, you look through the rest of them. Who else is going to want to buy any sort of detection? Way Too going to have his gold severely diminished if he wants to account for that at all. Even just an extra set of sentry wards can make a difference to a support who is not in the best shape farm-wise down near the bottom. Speaking of not being in the best shape, Bulba down near the bottom as well. He's got 19. IX Mike, of course, sitting with the least on the map, but that's no real change for him. 7-7, 14 kills on the board at 15 minutes in. Looking at the gold graph, 3,500 remains the advantage for Dignitas, but the experience has become a bit more manageable as it's only about 1,200 in favor of Dignitas.
Yeah, Liquid's in a very precarious position right now because they don't have any vision up on the map right now, and Dignitas pretty much just ran into their jungle, and Liquid is forced to just kind of wander around aimlessly while they just wait for Dignitas to pop up, and they just get a free T2 out of it. Again, lack of ward. They have one in mid, but it didn't really see them go up from the Ancients into the top lane. So, free tower from them, and Liquid really needs some more Observer Ward just so they don't give up free towers. If these other 2 towers go down, that's pretty much a free Roshan, especially with Batrider on their side, one of the kings of Roshan.
Taking a look at the items, we can see it is indeed going to be a BKB choice coming for the Gyrocopter. TC has the same thing in mind with an Ogre Club on the way for his own BKB. Mike is undercover of Vendetta, and he's going to spot out the bat. That should be a dead fogged, and it will be, as Fluff is there to help clean things up. Very fortuitous pick there. Going to give them a little bit of time, a little bit of breathing room. Way Too rotating over is Owie. Speaking of Owie, we can see again, he just does what he does. He's managed to make up a lot of ground. That Midas certainly helping out quite a bit. The Bear with the Midas phase up already. And we'll keep an eye on him. You know, obviously, Owie getting into a good position is the most important thing Dignitas is going to have in mind. You know, freeing up the map and, so, you know, all that. But just being able to get that late-game security the Lone Druid offers you and try to take this game to a later stage. Every minute that goes by, Liquid is going to begin to feel a little bit more uncomfortable.
Yep, and again, now Shadow Fiend's really going to start hitting hard. He has 70 plus 108 damage, so he does 178 damage, and again, if you don't shut him down early game, he is going to be a problem, and I think it's just really smart by them to play like this. And again, both teams playing relatively greedy, not too many kills, 15 kills, 17 minutes. We see Midas up and a lot of CS. We see 110 last hits on Gyro, 110 last hits on Shadow Fiend, and 80 for Queen of Pain and Lone Druid. Looks like they are actually going for Roshan right now, and I don't know if this is going to be spotted out, but this is very, very dangerous for them. You don't really want to take Roshan when all the team is up and you don't have vision. This war was just recently dewarded, and they have a Batrider. There's a lot of things that really just are warning flags in my mind. It's just a really bad position. It could completely change the game around if they were caught in that position, but it looks like they will wisely back off.
Yeah, but Liquid saw the dewarding taking place from Dignitas, so they back out of the Roche pit. Wise choice. Now they're going to be back on their heels again, though.
Oh, fogged.
Fogged, taking flight. Going to be looking for a target, clearing out some trees. And yeah, he spots some creeps, and yeah, finally Fluff's like, can't leave those guys behind. In the meantime, they rush the tier 2. The Bear leading the way, demolish damage, showing just how lethal it is, even when he is relatively devoid of items. And Mike running out, and of course, nice little way to scout, by the way. He would have been spotted by that sentry ward, but with the Chen teleport already casted, he finds himself safely back in base. So Liquid at the moment, at least, able to stabilize the map and cut it back in half. 15 kills, 18 minutes in. And taking a look, yeah, everything's basically stable right now, except for the experience. The experience has actually swung in favor of Liquid, just slightly, though, so practically even. But the gold has leveled off in between those 3,000 and 4,000 marks.
Yeah, I think Liquid is just really looking for picks right now. They have the heroes for it. They have Clockwork, they have Nyx Assassin, and they have Korok, who is Queen of Pain with an Orchid up. So I think they're really just looking for picks, maybe waiting for a BKB on Shadow Fiend before they actually choose to pick a team fight and force a fight at a T2 or at Roshan. And until then, looks like they will just be playing D, and they really don't want a 5-man engage just because Nyx Assassin can't get a good engage off, and it's just a perfect time for Bat. And they don't really want to start off the fight 4-on-5. So I think smart move by Liquid. Just playing D a little bit. TC just looks like he's around 1,000 gold away from his BKB. And Dignitas is forced to retreat. They have BKB up on Gyrocopter. And let's see what Puck is going for. Puck's still pretty poor. Just Treads and Blink Bottle at this point.
Well, one hero I do want to talk about is the Queen of Pain. Opting to grab that Orchid makes so much sense against the lineup of Dignitas. There are a lot of heroes that are very essential to the chain of initiation for Dignitas. If they're able to jump one and shut them down, it can really derail the entire game plan Dignitas is going to be trying to bring to bear. We can see Dignitas now invading near the Roche Pit. They're going to go ahead and cut across that Dire Side Secret Shop.
And they have a smoke.
And continue to apply pressure. Liquid is going to go ahead and try to move out. There's the hook! Great shot! Manages to catch the gyro, immediately pops BKB, call down there. Here comes Sneaking, looking for targets. Damage is done, and it looks like Jin's going to have to use the heal. Don't know that it'll make that big of a difference. Sonic Wave does good damage, and it's stolen! No, Rubik ends up dying before he can use it. In the meantime, Korok ends up down. Lasso going to be used on Fluff. The mass spam ability coming out of this gyro, making the difference. The fact that he was able to survive, but finally, TC able to get the return kill. Now chasing him down, Shadow Rays connects on Fog. Fog uses the wand charges to try and give himself a little bit more time. Now looking for a TP out. TC going to go ahead and use the Shadow Blade. Target he's going to be able to find is going to be Owie. And yep, now with no stun, nothing he can do. Yep, and waits perfect time and guaranteeing the bear can't be brought back. So at the very least, they're able to bring down the Panda. 10-9. Liquid maintains the kill lead, and they keep their Tier 2 alive. So, not bad so far. However, everything basically, after that, just a break-even situation for them.
Yeah, Puck really unable to do anything with the Orchid up on him. Korok just seems to really have his eyes out for him, and Rubik just falling that early in the fight. They didn't have any sentry wards set up either, so I think they should probably pick up a gemstone on Bat Rider just so they don't get initiated on like that. But now Liquid's in a pretty good position to take out Roshan. They just repelled a pretty big push, so Dignitas is going to have to think twice about pushing. Looks like Seiki is trying to scout into the Roche Pit, and nope.
We can see a little bit of a how do you do there in mid between the Bat and the Nyx Assassin, but either way, both teams really in a precarious situation. Both teams, again, I mean, with TC about to have his BKB done, he may be completing it right now, actually. Yeah, I think he is. Yep, that's his BKB done. Now this becomes a very crucial point in the game. TC is going to want to get the most out of that 10-second charge. He's going to want to make sure that he can bring that right click down on the gyrocopter, and you know, that's one of the things that they do have going for them. Gyro with his own BKB up, so he's not going to be vulnerable to stuns, but he's still just as vulnerable to right click as he's always been. 1,200 hit points. The only one less up, hang on. Lasso going to be there, going to catch Mike. There's the coil that goes down as well. BKB's off goes the ult. He does okay damage, not the best. However, we're going to see, yep, Gyro focus fire down by TC, right where he wanted to be in the back of the fight. Bulba with great cogs, trapping the bear and doing good damage. Way 2, the latest to be cleaned up. 3 for 2 the trade. They do get the bear as well. And Roche might now be the target. They get a little hung up in the woods as Fluff's Menagerie getting in the way. Korok's not done. He's going to go ahead and silence out Owie, using Shadow Strike to slow him, looking to do a bit more damage. Going to spin the Sonic Wave even, and going to continue to pursue him out. There's no one around to help him. So if he can catch him, there's another Scream. Use the wand charges just for extra mana, and he will be able to kill him. So Korok makes it a full 5-man wipe. In the meantime, the rest of his team, led by Fluff, bringing down the big boy in the Roche Pit.
Really observant by him to notice that he didn't have a TP scroll on him just to see that he can pursue him, but Yeah, TC is just hitting like a truck right now, and they really don't have anything. I mean, sure, you can root him, but he's just going to cast Requiem and Raise while he's rooted, and Gyrocopter can't stand there and BKB, Flak, and call down like we see most Gyrocopters do, and just just really has to be worried about that. That right click is just massive amounts of damage, minus 6 armor right now. Shadow Fiend's level 15 right now, too.
I was kind of trying to touch on that before the fight broke out, and obviously I got a little sidetracked and a little interrupted. But this is what I was talking about, it being a crucial time right now. The fact that Gyro did build survivability before building any kind of damage. He is, he's survivable-ish. But, as you pointed out, it's survivability in the sense that, okay, he's got some decent all-around stats, he's got his BKB, and usually that's enough to get a Gyro by. But whenever you just have this gigantic amount of single-target damage that can be poured on from these two heroes right here, from the Nyx Assassin and from the Shadow Demon in particular, just by virtue of Necromastery, is going to be able to just sit back at a safe distance and, as you said, prevent Gyro from comfortably sitting at the periphery of a fight and just spamming his abilities. That's exactly what we saw derail Dignitas in that last fight. They lost the Gyro, then all they could do is go into full retreat, and full retreat spelled a full team wipe.
Yeah, this bear has even been dying a lot, even though it does have armlet, it has 11 armor right now, but, I mean, we were just seeing these heroes melt under Shadow Fiend's presence. Looks like they're going to continue the pressure right now. So, a long time left on their Aegis, and looks like this will be a free T2, and Dignitas probably won't get anything out of return. Liquid can push faster, and they have the Aegis, and there's no T2 to defend on top, so it looks like they're TPing back right now.
They're going to try to keep this up, and the range on TC is actually deceptively large. That's something I think is routinely underestimated. Just how long a range a Shadow Fiend does have. Works really well against a Gyro who doesn't have quite as good a range. And yeah, just look how far away he can be to siege this out. And now with Fluff's creeps up there to tank damage, to deal with creeps, with enemy creeps, yeah, that's just a tower they can do nothing about other than trying to commit to another full team fight. The one benefit they have is Aoi is continuing to find his farm. He's a 126 CS. Take a look at the net worth. We can actually see he's moved up to second in terms of total net worth, trailing just by about 1,000 now, making just about 2,000 behind that Shadow Fiend.
Yep, and I mean, the pressure's not really on Liquid right now. Usually what you want to do is just, okay, blink in, lasso, kill the Shadow Fiend, and sure, you'll get Chen heal, but usually you can pick him up. But now Shadow Fiend's just to that point where if you go on him, you're going to lose the fight because they have Aegis, they have Mech, they have Clockwork Counter Initiate, they have Send Back too, and he just has a lot of items, and they, again, really don't have any solutions for him. Usually Bat Rider can handle him quite well, but not when he has 13,000 net worth, 2,000 above Aoi. Looks like IX Mike is looking for a pick right now.
Taking a look at Mike. He's there with TC. Man, they're going to find out. He could not have found a better target. There's the ulti as well, just about point blank, so max damage or very close to it done there. And yeah, very, very good pick. Aoi just kind of hanging out, staring at the waters. Looks like he was skipping stones with his buddy, but as is Liquid, who was beginning to look like they were in a bit of trouble just a few moments ago. Look at the gold graph. Has crossed back across the Meridian line in their favor. So that's the first time in roughly 20 minutes it's crossed back into, or across the 0 line. So Liquid has done a great job of making up ground, and in terms of experience, they're just about into 5-digit territory.
Oh, we see they have this ward here. TC's gonna look for a pick. He gets the chicken kill. He wants Gyro.
The right million kill, actually. Looks like Gyro will be able to make it away. And yeah, he's just going to go in Shadow Blade. In the meantime, Korok finds another kill. Hang on. Hook from downtown. And Bulba goes fishing and comes up with a target. 18-11. That's 3 picked off, just 1 at a time. And again, I talked about it during the draft. We saw just how thin Liquid's lineup could feel at times. The fact that if they got behind or if the map control was not in their favor, they could be a team that was abused, a team composition that was abused. But this is where this is Liquid's bread and butter. This is what they've done to such amazing success over the last 3 to 6 months. It's just make lineups like this work based on pure communication and pure individual effort.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job about splitting up around the map. We see Korok get that solo kill on Fog. We see TC and Nyx Assassin, the 2 Invis hero, get that dual kill on Aoi, and they just force Dignitas to stay in their base, not farm at all, and just defend. They already lost like a couple of 5-on-5s, and usually you resort to split pushing right then, but they can't do that anymore. They've just been picked up too many times, and they don't have any sort of map control. I don't think they have any smokes And with Aegis still on Shadowfield for another minute, looks like this will probably be a free T2, but looks like they're going to try and do something about it.
There's the bat taking a lot of right click. TC's very low here. Now they're going to be able to find the bear, but there's a hook. Hook manages to catch one. That's going to be Owie. And the ulti is going to go. No, it didn't go off. He died just before. He's going to be right back up. Chim blows the heal. Now the coil goes down, but TC's back, ready to ulti again. Off goes the damage. And we can see Dignitas forced to pull back. There's going to be a lasso that locks TC down. The damage just is not there. Gyro is so dependent on his rocket barrage and its magical damage. TC took nothing from his spam. Even Flat Cannon not feeling particularly dangerous at all. And TC able to go ahead and clean things up. Brings down the tower after bringing down the Gyro with a well-placed Shadow Raise at the conclusion of the fight. They're going to rush the tier 3.
Yeah, Knight's Manta too. He's just ridiculously far at this point. He was 13,000, 11,000 just a while back. Oh, way too sexy. Just going to get picked up by Korok over here. Owie
trying to body block. Don't know that it matters. Does take a bit of damage in return, but in the meantime, the rest of his team is continuing to clean up this tier 3. Bats there. Lasso not for 20, though. Liquid will be forced out. Here comes Puck looking to initiate. Fluff going to be caught with a root. Didn't even need it. They managed to get the kill. Bulba drops the cogs. The bear runs around them. Let's see if he can get another good root. He's doing good damage. There's a hook that brings him to the creep wave, so he makes it to safety. So they end up getting at least one return kill on Chen, and they do keep their tier 3 alive. So Dignitas, while down, certainly not out. Just about 5,000 gold the advantage of Liquid, but the experience beginning to pile up as they're approaching 15,000.
Yeah, man, we see a jump pick up on way too, but he died and pass it to Owie. I think this should have been picked up quite a long time ago, considering they have 2 Invis healers right now. But looks like the way to beat Dignitas' greedy lineup is to play even greedier yourself, like a pick like Shadow Fiend.
Well, Shadow Fiend, and this is something we both touched on, just talking about what we were seeing, and we didn't really talk about it during the draft. Shadow Fiend turns out to be a pretty decent counter to a Gyrocopter, so long as you put him in the right positions and he has the right team composition around him. The fact that he has reliable physical damage, that he's going to be able to turn out early in the game. He's not a Gyro. Gyro really gets by on the strength of cooldown and rocket barrage in the early and mid-game phases in terms of his damage output and what he can contribute to team fights. But with the Shadow Fiend being able to ignore an early BKB out of the Gyro, just sit back at his own leisure and do solid right-click damage with the combination of Necro Mastery with presence of the Dark Ward, but primarily the Necro Mastery, because that is not negated in any way by Magic Community. It makes life hard for a Gyro once you see that damage item built, which in this case was that Shadow Blaze. So just really smart drafting out of Liquid.
Yeah, and I mean, we see BKB, like, Gyro has to pick up BKB, but he also needs more damage too. He's just falling way too behind on items. He can't man-fight TC at this point. I mean, I just don't see them having any sort of solutions to this. They just have to rely on what they do best, is pretty much a split push, try and force this into later so they can have some sort of item to shut them down. Either more items on Gyrocopter, like Butterfly, MKB, those sort of things, or like a Sheep on Puck. And other than that, they're forced to not take any fights at all.
Dire's bottom tower.
Taking a look at Owie and the Bear. The Bear's going to be going for an Assault Cuirass as he has added the plate mail to his inventory. Way too sexy. Yep, all of them just going to get the hell out of Dodge, knowing that, or suspecting that Liquid might be on the way. The map is now devoid of outer tier towers on both sides, so at the very least, for Dignitas, map control is not out of their control. It's a break-even affair so far. And, taking a look, I mean, the farm is just, it's pretty even, all things considered. TC certainly ahead, but the fact that Owie recovered as well as he did, of Korok, so they're not in terrible shape there. Bulba's actually pretty low, but he's still higher than Puck, Bad Rider, and Rubik. And I think that's really where things are beginning to feel a little thin. Puck, in a lot of these fights, as you pointed out, he's just finding himself in situations, once the Orchid goes off in particular, that he just can't contribute much of anything until the fight is practically over.
Oh, looks like Wei-2's getting... Oh, the miss impale.
And he's actually probably lucky he missed that. If he hits that impale and follows it up, he dies. So instead, able to make it away. We got 34 kills on the board in a 32-minute game. Now, Merlini, if you're in Dignitas' shoes, what are you thinking here? As you said, TC is not going to stop. Is not going to be hitting any easier as this game goes by. Do you just try to farm for the ultra late, try to get your Lone Druid out of control, or do you try to make something happen elsewise?
I mean, they need to try and find picks before this next Roshan. If they get this next Roshan, they could probably push up the T3. They need a Basher up on the Bear, or a good pick here. Looks like Fog I don't know if he's going to go buy that illusion. Nope. Yeah. But I think, yeah, what they need to do is get Basher up on Bear so they have some sort of lockdown for the Shadow Fiend, because Puck is going for BKB. I don't really think BKB is a good choice because, like, I mean, he's before the BKB's up, the team fight's gonna be over. But I think that he needs more lockdown so they can get the jump on Liquid. Most of the time, they can TC can just stand there, man up, and just right-click towers, just right-click people, and just not do anything. And dignitas is like forced into some sort of bad situation. But they really just need to get the jump on someone, pick someone off really fast, whether it be just by ganking or by a very nice Blink Lasso Initiate or Blink Sheep. Any of those would be really nice, but I mean, Liquid has pretty good counter against that in terms of Clockwork, in terms of Chen, and both of those are pretty good solutions, but they need to try and split them up around the map, not give up this Roshan. That first Aegis is just like almost guaranteed team fight loss for Dignitas, and the second one will probably mean the same thing too. This T3 is already really low in middle, so if they just let this Aegis go for free, it's probably going to be a Rax.
Now, things not going to get any easier as Korok's now added a Scythe device to his inventory as well, so he not only has the ability to silence out the Puck, but he can then turn his attention to a Gyrocopter if he's not BKB'd even, you know, and that would seem to be the wise choice, but just being able to lock down the Druid could be a big deal, so we'll see how they want to play it out. Fluff continues to add to his inventory as well. He's got a gem. He picked up a set of drums quite some time ago. Back to Sneaking. Sneaking working on some Magic Immunity, has the Ogre Club up, but the BKB certainly not within reach, at least not for the moment. Way too sexy, pretty barren. 4-staff Blink Dagger done on Fog, so he's got mobility, but I mean, even right now, Liquid is one of the best in the business at not being caught out of position. I mean, just as a team, whenever it comes to these 5-on-5 phases of the game, they're so good about not making a ton of mistakes, and now they're just going to move TC in. Now they're going to be able to catch him, though. Just as I said, they're good about it. He wanders in and is spotted by the gem. They do end up getting a kill on Puck. Now the buybacks on both sides. Let's see if they want to engage. You just heard, yep, Clock went in. He's got his BKB done. Owie locked down, and Korok doing good damage. Spins a Sonic Wave. Fog going to be killed off. Owie's next on the list. Gyrocopter does not have a BKB charge. He will be cleaned up as well. That's going to spell a Roshan for Liquid. So just as I was saying, Liquid's so good about not having one get caught out, TC wandered into the grindhouse and found himself on the unfortunate end of a lot of damage, but as he bobbed back, they killed off the Puck, forced that buyback, and by the time Dignitas was repositioned, the fight was all but over. Bulba once again hitting the money hook shot and locking down the Lone Druid very, very early. Great play out of Liquid. They're now leading 25-15 and have a fresh Aegis.
Yep, Dignitas did get the jump that team fight. That's exactly what they need to do. Kill the Shadow Fiend before anything can be popped, before Chen send back, before hookshot, and before BKB. But having that buyback and now Aegis, I mean, they can't kill him twice every single fight.
Right.
They can't kill him twice any fight, actually. But looks like he is. I don't even know what he's going to build next. If he builds like a Satanic, that's going to be really, really tough for them. But Owie's still looking pretty good on farm too. I think he almost has his Curious complete, if not already completed. And then once he gets that in Master, they will have some single target lockdown, which is what they desperately need. Although not versus Korok though. Again, you really need a Sheep to lock him down, considering he has a Ghost Scepter right now for most of the physical damage and silence. But I mean, they just have way too much farm. The gold grab close to Meridian, it was still like you could just feel the momentum of Liquid just like starting to crush Dignitas, and the kill score was pretty even too, but now they've ran away with it. 25-15 for kills now. XP hugely in favor of Dire right now, around 20,000, and difference of gold earned around 8,000. And I think the real big factor here is Puck's net worth compared to Queen of Pain. They're both solo mids. Neither of them really got like messed with in middle. Chen was just farming jungle, and Nyx was supporting and pooling, and they just took out a tower top. But look at the net worth. Puck's sitting at 5,800. And Queen of Pain is at 16,000. So 10,000 net worth difference in between your two mid heroes when you're even on towers. And the only variance is the 2 Roshan kills and some kills. That's just not good at all. That's not exactly where you don't want to be with Puck. And as soon as you fall a little bit behind, it just keeps going like that. Because when he rushes the Orchid, you're forced to get Magic Immunity. And then what are you going to do with just Blink, Treads, and BKB Puck? He's still not going to even do that much, even with a BKB, so he can't really contribute that much to team fights.
Fog's going to be caught out in bottom. So Fog ends up being Busted up by Liquid. Liquid now in position to push the tier 3 bottom. We're going to see the TP reaction coming. The damage out of TC is just so massive right now. He's hitting for damn near 300 damage a shot. He's going to go ahead and use the Manta. And there's a hook. It's going to be able to catch Way 2 and decides device on sneaking. He's silenced out. He's going to be finished off. Way 2 blown up. Jim's on the ground. Buyback from the bat. TC just laying into this gyrocopter. Not a lot he can do but run. And the tier 3 now in very mortal danger. He still has that Aegis, so he can play a little bit more chest out than he might otherwise. The bear is being effective. Now he's going to be locked in, though. And TC laying into that big panda bear sends him back to the well the hard way. First set of racks down. They're now going to rotate to mid. That tier 3 already practically down. 4 shots, all it's going to take to bring it down from TC. Might be the beginning of the end we're seeing here. We've got the Gyro, the Druid, and the Bat up. Let's see what they want to do. The Aegis is still available as well. Cogs are going to go down. And now, there's a flame break to knock them out. There's Queen of Pain getting another kill. And that Scythe device again on the gyrocopter. As anticipated and as predicted, that should be that. GG's come out. So once again, even though this is the first meeting of these two teams here today, the fact, just the way that this tournament played out, means that Liquid will be advancing to the grand finals. Dignitas making their way up from the lower bracket. They came into this game trailing 1-0 in terms of pure status. They had to get things on track early on, but Liquid able to seize control back. And again, look at that goal graph. Very much in favor now, but was in favor of Dignitas for a 10 to 15 minute stretch, and they were able to turn it around in a hurry.
Need the Rapier gyrocopter. Where is it? It's not too late.
Rapier on gyro, always a nice way to turn around. Kind of tough when your Ancient's already taking this much damage, though. So we can see, finally, the game.
Return of Shadow Fiend.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, man, it's not fun casting on a rig you're not familiar with. My sound settings all messed up. Hopefully, though, we got through this game with not as many issues. And hopefully you guys continue to enjoy the production regardless. Great game as Liquid puts an exclamation point on it. 39 minutes, 45 seconds, the official game time. 31-15, the final kill score. As you mentioned, and I got to agree, just look at Korok. Sees control of the game. Once he had that Scythe device up, actually has an F blade in his inventory at the end of this game. But able to seize control off of that great start, just abusing sneaking mid, who never really felt like a factor in the game at all. And Liquid able to take that, their momentum. Some wonderful play out of Bulba as well. Bulba's hook shots were spot on, had a couple of really good individual efforts, but also made it count in the 5-on-5 situations as well. So Dignitas knocked down to the lower bracket. They're going to be meeting Roxkus in our next best of 3. It will be a full best of 3 that time as well, so it should be coming up very, very soon. Make sure you stay locked here on Curse Entertainment. I'm AC, joined by Merlini. In case you got to bail out, Merlini, where can they find you on your various social networks?
They can find me streaming on Twitch most days, twitch.tv/MerliniDota, and all social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, is /MerliniDota. Thanks, AC.
Going to be continuing to tune things up a little bit. I think we got some downtime. I'm not sure exactly when we're going to be bringing or coming live with our next series, but more than likely, I'm probably going to put up the static screen while I manipulate a few things, hopefully get the frame rate up. Frame rate's not bad, but it's not where I'd like it to be. Hopefully, the audio was at least decent enough. But again, thanks so much for bearing with us. Hopefully, everyone enjoyed the international qualifiers early today, and now you're tuned in and enjoying some great Curse Invitational action. Again, I'm EC. We'll be back with Dignitas versus Roxkus coming up next.